2019's Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Auburn football season is nearly here, but we've got to preview game 1. Auburn versus Baylor is happening tomorrow. We do these on Thursday nights, by the way. So this is a little bit weird, but let's get into it. This is our preview and prediction show here at E2C Network for the first game of the 2025 Auburn football season versus Baylor out in Waco. Let's get into all those different things right now. Well, War Eagle, and welcome to you all for being here at another edition of E2C Network as I try to get myself situated there correctly. Thank you for joining us on another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about, share the Auburn experience. The Auburn experience to us is all about a few things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. Say it with me. If it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today on this particular live stream. What we have in store for you tonight is a traditional show that we have done for a long time here at E2C Network. The Thursday night before an Auburn football game, we do a preview and prediction show where we're going to hope to set you up, not just for previewing the stories and the stats that surround the game, but our ultimate goal is to get to the point where I know a lot of you are coming for, is to give you my specifically score predictions for this game. I think Austin officially went on the record on the last podcast. I will make sure that he does that from now on. But he will give you his score predictions earlier. I will give mine on these Thursday nights. But we're going to do a real fun interactive show where we walk through different scenarios that might happen throughout the game, and then eventually come to a hopefully more well-informed collective score predicting opportunity for you all. So this is a show that has been requested to come back. We're giving it a shot, another go around this year. To be completely honest with you, we're wiping the slate somewhat a little bit clean and kind of deciding if we try some new things on how we do this year. Some of it will be familiar, some of it will be new. We'll see how it goes, basically. But thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll get into what this document over there, so it's reversed on me, that you guys can take a look at while we're going. I think you should be able to see that if you're looking at the screen a little bit closer on full screen, things like that. We're going to get into a bunch of different things on the show, but we want to start off by reminding you to make sure that you smash the like button. Let us know that you're here. Let us know who's hanging out with us today, who wants to say hello, all that good stuff. And please do smash that like button wherever you're watching. If it's on Facebook, if it's on X, if it's on YouTube, we want to know who's here, and we want you to let other people know that you're here. I see a lot of familiar faces. Good shout out there, and good people to shout out in the chat. Hunter, Micah, Sam, a lot of you already here, ready to roll. Good to see you. Appreciate that. Hunter asks, is this an interactive stream that you guys know of? There you go. Well, I think we already answered that. Yes, this will be an interactive stream. This is one that's really meant to get feedback from you all. I will offer my predictions from these different scenarios throughout the show as well, but this is one of those opportunities where you, obviously, again, like Auburn Family Nights, get to take center stage and talk about these different types of things that we're going to be getting into the show today. But as I said, get us started off with a good like. Let us know that you're here. If you're watching in the background, don't be shy. I know some of you are lurking back there. I can see the numbers on the screen. So do let us know that you're here, because we want to kind of keep a lookout for when we ask for like group votes and things like that. We might do some things like that. Like I said, this is going to be one of those things we're continuing by request, but we're also going to be trying maybe some new things in this experimental time, because be honest with you, we typically do these shows. What's up, Deanna? Good to see you, by the way. Look, we don't get the chance to say hi to Deanna as much here, but we're glad she's here. we're going to try kind of have a new starting point for this show and figure out what works with it going forward from here. Now, what I will always ask you guys to do, as long as we continue to do these Thursday night preview and prediction shows, is that you keep your scores until the end. Some of you have already done that. Try not to do a lot of preemptive things. We're going to actually go through a bunch of different categories and try to do this all succinctly and talk about these things, dive into it a little bit. So that's the goal here. We're going to kind of workshop this together, how this needs to run this year. And hopefully a couple games in, we'll have the format that you all like, that we like as well. And that should make for a good show and a good experience tonight. So let's start right here. Obviously, the screen right over. It's over here, Kyle. I got to figure out how to switch those back. Wait a minute. Hold on. We're going to do something. Oh, it won't let me do it. Dang it. It's gonna switch back and forth on that. I thought it would let me slide myself over. It's just not gonna do it like it would on the other one. Anyway. All right. This is something that you guys can have access to yourself. They send it out to the media, but if you look on the Auburn website, it still should be accessible to the public. And this is a much bigger document than what you're seeing right here. But these are just some information, things that the athletic department always puts out that I think are super helpful for forming well-rounded opinions. The problem with doing this type of show in the first game of the year is we have no stats, no facts to go off. So all of this is going to be high speculation. So let's start right there. As you can see from this sheet right here, Auburn versus Baylor, August 29th, 7 p.m. Central Time on Fox. Good luck to all of you who does anybody know if YouTube TV has got themselves figured out yet? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We are thankfully not in that situation, so we will not be sweating it out if they haven't gotten their deal brokered yet. For those of you that don't know, this happens every single year at college football season. Some of the TV providers and their sports channels get into a conflict about deals and prices and things like that, and they choose to leverage the college football audience during this time, which really hurts all of us, to be honest with you. And so some of y'all are dealing with that on the YouTube side of things. All right, so that's one thing, to keep the time where it's being watched, all that. So if you look through this little document over here, you can probably find some helpful information. A lot of it is just going to be fresh start. Obviously, each team is 0-0. But this first sheet that you see here is usually a good one just for a smattering of the whole dang thing that's on here. So let's look at the top. The matchup at Baylor marks Auburn's first true road game to begin the season since 2002 at USC. That's a cool little fact that I didn't process until, just recently when I started reviewing this document. Think about that. Auburn has not played in a true road game since 2002. Over 2 decades, Auburn has either opened up at home or at a neutral site where they have an equal opportunity to have the home crowd balance or the ticket balance or anything like that. This is the first time this has happened. So this is a historic occasion just in and of it itself. So just keep that in mind. Let's see what else we can glean from here. Hugh Freeze is 9-3 in season openers. These are the things that maybe will help you start formulating your score prediction a little bit, just to know how successful he is there, including both his first ones at Auburn. Auburn has opened the season in Texas on three previous occasions with a perfect 3-0 record. Auburn is perfect in the state of Texas. So right now, the betting odds would be on Auburn winning in Texas. Now, obviously, that doesn't tell the whole story. But if you look on the sheet here and these quick little facts, you're going to see something here. Here's the really interesting thing that I guess I just blanked out on. Auburn versus Baylor, the series. I knew it in the back of my mind that Auburn and Baylor had played before, but I guess on the surface level, I was assuming maybe they hadn't or barely at all, maybe in a bowl game or something. But Auburn trails Baylor 2-1-1 all time, meaning Baylor has won 2, Auburn has won 1, and they have a tie. So there's a lot of history here. Not only is this the first time that Auburn has been in a true road game to start off the year, at USC 2002 being that first time. Not only is Hugh Freeze pretty good in his opening games, not only is Auburn pretty good in the state of Texas for their opening games, neutral site or away, but you've got Auburn here with an opportunity to right the record in terms of putting it even once again. That's again, all these small little factoids and things don't really factor into anything by in and of itself, but these are slight little motivations just to think about. Auburn is 24-8-1 all time against the current members of the Big 12, current being the operative term there because it's changed so much. But Baylor has been part of the Big 12 for a while now, at least. Yeah, for whatever most people would consider a while. Jackson Arnold is Auburn's 22nd starting quarterback since 2000. That is a fact that I have seen brought up a lot on social media, and I certainly think that is indicative of transition and things like that. But, hopefully this is a start of an era where we have guys that stick around for a little bit longer and have less and less turnover and less time. Now, some of that turnover is because people had such great seasons, right? And moved off after 1 year. Looking at you, Cam Newton. But yeah, we sure hope that they show up and show out. Speaking of which, I want to give a shout out to all the Auburn fans that are already out there, heading out there. We heard some people live on our TikTok stream today talking about that they were already in DFW. I know some people personally that are en route currently. I believe Austin should be there now. Maybe they flew out this evening. I think he talked about it on the podcast this week. But there you go. Good shout out to the Auburn family for doing this. And let's just talk about this. This is the 2025 season and the 133rd season of Auburn football in college football. The Tigers are 804 all-time in wins and 14th most among FBS programs. We get this question a lot about where does Auburn stand historically in blue bloods and things like that. And I've always said that I think they are really a top 15 program, if not having a case across the totality of being in a conversation for a top 10. That at least puts you in the vicinity of that right there. Hunter says that the team checked in about 2 hours ago. That checked out probably. I think they landed about 4 or 5 hours ago. So hopefully they would be wherever they're. I don't know where they're staying, actually, if they're staying in Waco or if they're staying in Dallas tonight. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to get in a phone call. Sometimes people don't know when I'm live and they happen to call in the middle of this. Let's see here. Anything you need from this first page? We're not going to spend all our time on these pages, but I do want to have them handy in case there's anything to reference. First game of the year, you all know it, but there's a couple other slides that we want to go through. Nothing really on this second page, but if you have interest in this type of stuff that has just more factoids and things like that, you can certainly pause the screen or come back to the stream and pause on that. You can find this information wherever you would like to, though. On the Auburn University, Auburn Athletics website, if you'd like some of that. We're going to get more into the interactive and fun voting type of stuff here in just a second. We're just going to scroll through some of these things for you guys to pause. But let's get to right here. This is where I want to be. Let's talk about depth chart, because this is really what it comes down to. Who's playing or who's likely to play in these positions and how will they factor into the game? So this was released earlier in the week. Keep in mind, every single Monday, that when the media does their press conference with the head coach, they will release this. And a lot of the times there's not going to be a lot of changes. So this is probably going to be the most exciting and most important one that we discuss. Obviously, injuries will change that. People's performances will change, how they stack up. But typically, and to be honest with you guys, let me just kind of say this, and I'm saying this over the entirety of the depth chart and specifically about the quarterback position. If anybody here is praying, hoping, wishing, secretly, openly about they're wanting to see a change in that depth chart, you are currently wishing for Auburn to fail. So if that's you, just know that's you. And that's a little bit counterproductive of it, just so you can be right. So your hope should be that these starting people that are here, those that are actually starting, look at that defense though. Those ones remain the same and everybody is successful. But there you go. Yes, the pronunciation guide for Auburn fans, I'm sure y'all need it. Now listen, now Micah, don't start tonight, Micah. Don't start. Unbeaten Lake says, I've got Mendoza vibes from Sawyer Robertson. Yeah. I heard a lot of people that are afraid of the kid. His performance in our simulation from College Football 26, he was pretty good in that. I'm sure wouldn't be far off from that. Hunter says, I pray the players with lingering injuries are healthy. Saul Perry Thompson is still nursing his knee at the hotel. Now, did you go to the game? Or were you at the hotel, Hunter? Or what was going on there? You seem pretty well versed on all of that. Okay. Anything stick out to you from this depth chart? Some of you probably already seen it. I would say most of you. The thing that people were mainly talking about was the fact that Horatio Fields, in most people's eyes, was put over Perry Thompson. But if you look closely, the majority of these are an or situation. In fact, Cam Coleman is an or situation. Eric Singleton and Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane is an or situation. There are very few of these positions where someone is the solid number one. If you look at the offensive line, there it is. Xavier Chaplin, Dylan Wade, Connor Lew, Jeremiah Wright, and Mason Murphy. Frankly, this is what is most interesting to me. How does this group and the guys behind them, Isaiah Miller, DeAndre Carter, Dylan Cinda, Seth Wilford, and Tyler Johnson, how does that top two all perform together for continuity starting tonight or starting tomorrow? But again, that's the biggest thing to me. Damari is a starting running back. And then look, there's no point in us even talking about starters or stuff on defense. Look at all those ors. I mean, is there a single position that I'm looking at right now? It's great that it's actually over on that side. So it actually looks like I'm looking at it, because normally it's like I'm looking at it that way. There's not a single position that doesn't have an or next to it. So you're going to see a lot of players out there, a lot of players getting time. Keep in mind, when you're going through this game, when we get to the reaction show post-game tomorrow late, you don't need to be walking away with a lot of stark, big, huge, definitive takeaways at the end of this thing. Special teams as well. Obviously, some questions there with questions around Alex McPherson's health right now currently. And then if Eric Singleton is healthy or not, punt returner Malcolm Simmons would be the backup there. And obviously, if Eric Singleton needs to be limited anyway, Malcolm would be featured, or Bryce Kane would be featured in that slot right there. Hunter says, funny enough, most of the positions are labeled as or. Do you know which of the few positions aren't? Quarterback is not right. Yeah, so quarterback and offensive lineman look to be running back, quarterback, tight end, offensive lineman, and punter, and everything except kickoffs, essentially. And yeah, everything on defense seems to be an or situation. So that seems to be how that's lined up right there. The fans' biggest question mark doesn't seem to be one with our coaching staff. Well, I think that's what we're just talking about. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. I will say this, the spread so far is 2.5. So has that been a factor in what the score thoughts have or will be? What your score? Sorry, that first part, the phrasing threw me off. Yeah, I don't really pay attention much to this spread. We'll bring the ESPN tracker thing up here in a second to reference before we get into our predictions and everything. Rodriguez says Auburn is going down tomorrow. Go Baylor, go Alabama. Well, once again, Micah, one of your brethren who continue to show that we live rent-free in his head. Thanks for letting us live rent-free there. All right, one more thing to show you, and then we're going to get into the stuff tonight. Let me pull this up on my screen over here. If you look down at the bottom there's a comparison. Now, keep in mind, this is all based off of last year. Obviously, you see Peyton Thorne still listed there at quarterback. You see Hunter listed in all the individual things. This will start changing next week when we have stats. This is why I stress not building too many bold predictions until we get some definitive facts, because look at that. Your leading tackler has gone in Mausi and Jaron. All of your leading tacklers, Mausi, Jaron Thompson, and Jalen McLeod, a linebacker, a defensive back, and a defensive lineman are all gone. Lambert Smith is gone. Simmons, the second best wide receiver. See, here's another thing too. If you look back at that, everybody is just coming out right now and saying, Cam Coleman's going to have this great year. there were some things that kept him from not doing as well yardage-wise than Malcolm Simmons. Doesn't mean that's going to transpire again this year, but these are all part of the narrative of us discussing this. So obviously new at passing, new with Hank Brown is still listed on there. That's interesting. Obviously new rushers as well. But if you want to look at the Baylor statistics right there from last year, all of this is going to be referencing the last season, but we'll have more of that to talk about next week. Okay, so let's do this. One more thing. Let me switch over to this and see if we can't. Oh, I thought I added. Before presenting the screen, remove the media. Oh, there we go. We're going to bring that up, and we will make it a little bolder and a little bigger so that it looks a little bit more precise. Okay. So this is the ESPN page, and normally they give us some good, at least, perspectives about what people are anticipating. Somebody said that the spread was 2.5 in Auburn's favor, so you can think about that. This is the fan or ESPN. Now it's the ESPN analytics. Yes, last time it was the fan perception of the matchup. Based off the ESPN analytics, 51.8% to Baylor. So let's just call it 52 to 48%. So a 4% differential, essentially rounding up for Auburn over, or excuse me, for Baylor over Auburn. The spread favors Auburn. These analytics on ESPN Baylor. I think what we all need to take away from this, see, there's no season leaders yet either. All of this is about to change. All that to be said, don't take anything big away from right now, but especially after game one, we can at least start talking about it. According to the ESPN weather situation right there, it looks like it will be 91 at kickoff, even at 8 o'clock at night. Hopefully that sun won't be too bad still, or the effects of the sun after that. And the weather right now, based off that, looks to be okay. There was speculation on whether the game was going to have some weather issues, things like that. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to bring the screen back up all the way for me. Let's move into our more interactive time. Like I said, we'll work on timing stuff and make sure this is something that everybody wants to do. Look, I'll be honest with you, the crowd has been a little low tonight. So always keep that in mind. Make sure you get your people here. We may have to make adjustments on that if we know that this is not something that people want a ton or want to show up a ton for this. But first game of the year, let's make some predictions. Traditionally, what we did last year was I have a bunch of these things, these categories to go through and make predictions about, and we're going to get your impressions, and I'll give you my take at the end of each of those ones. It will end with the final score. We'll do offense, defense, special teams. We can add things later on down the line if we need to, take away things if we think it's just stupid for us to ask those questions. We did that a little bit last year. We got some input on some different things too. So there's a lot to go through, so we probably need to get going here. We'll take so many of your comments and questions. Auburn in the first 2 weeks just ran 4 verticals every other play. Are you talking about last year? That may have been the case, but I think it'll be a little bit different this year. All right, let's start here. Offense. This is our prediction time. Let's do a test run. Let's see who's here in the chat wanting to Terry, I think you're a little bit behind on Facebook because that just came through, unless you just got here and saw that. Yes, we already got him for the rent-free thing, but make sure you're here. Let's do a test. I would like for you to right now in the chat, if you're going to be participating in our group vote, type your favorite player on the team right now. This is just a test group vote type of situation. We just kind of want to get a scope for who's here currently. It gets you going in the chat. Right now, type your favorite player, and we'll go from there to see who's kind of lined up on everything here. That's so bad, Micah. You got to have at least one player, if you're going to be following our stuff, that you like a little bit. Cameron Coleman, no shock there whatsoever. We got a Cameron Coleman. Anything else? Terry, yeah, okay. Terry looks like he's caught up now that he's responding to that. Cam Coleman. Anything else? I got 2. Unbeaten Lake. You know I asked for 1. Coleman and Falk. Well, I do it too. Let me be honest with you here. I get it. Like, it's like I can't not follow the instructions, but when I did ask for one. But thank you for your input there. Robert said this a little bit ago, low scoring to good defenses. I've seen it go both ways on the prediction side of things. So we'll see what everybody thinks. Keldrick Falk. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Looks like we're going to have a low-ish crowd tonight, and we'll work through it as best we can. But you guys may have a lot of input on everything here. David gave something to us, but it is just a blank thing. Sorry, we don't know what that is, David, but at least you tried. All right, let's get into it. This is your first question. There we go. We got some more people. Know your role and shut your hole. Like that. It's one of my favorite phrases of all time. Jeremiah Cobb's a good one. All right, this is your first question that I want to ask you this evening to predict. We know nothing about the offense, but we're going to try. How many passing yards and passing touchdowns do you think Auburn offense will have in this game? Keep in mind, a lot of the speculation has been this week and before then that the secondary is very suspect for Baylor. The question is, how much do you buy into the speculation? How much do you believe what's put out there? So I need passing yards alone, and I need passing touchdowns alone for Auburn's offense. WT, just get here when you can, man. Just get here when you can. Good to see you. All right, we've got some predictions rolling in from you all. 245 and 2 passing touchdowns. 270 and 3 touchdowns. 250, 3 touchdowns from 313. Anybody else want to put their take in there? Anybody else got an opinion? Know your role or no role? I'm going to have to want to say that every single time. 250 and 3 touchdowns. Very nice. Corey, just get here when you can. Oh, wow. Unbeaten Lake. Now, can I ask Unbeaten Lake, is this legit or are you just going or swinging for the fences on this one? 250, 3 touchdowns. All right. So we're seeing things kind of come together here. And let's see, we got Hugh coming in here, David as well. Ooh, 4 touchdowns. All right, a lot more of those coming. There may be a little bit of delay on Facebook, so a lot of y'all are getting in here. Oh, this is a score prediction. I'm sorry. Hold your score predictions until the end, please. If you can't stay the whole time, that's fine, but try not to do that because that's going to encourage everybody to start posting theirs a little bit too soon, and then we're trying to take stock of everything we got here. Greg, 336, 3 touchdowns from 256. Is that your area code? Is that what's going on there? That's the lowest one we've gotten so far, Corey. All right, so you can keep them coming if you haven't done it already. But what we asked was passing yards and passing touchdowns. It looks like the majority of you expect there to be at least 2 passing touchdowns. Given the propensity for Hugh to focus on the pass game, I would agree that is going to be probably the goal there. But will that actually happen? I'm gonna put out there 215 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. I think Auburn is going to have to score a bare minimum of 21 points in this game to feel secure that they'll have a shot to win at it. And I think, given, like I said, the propensity for Hugh to focus on that, will definitely probably have a few more touchdowns on the passing side. Now, if we get a few more rushing, we'll get to that in a second. That will certainly help me feel a little bit more secure in things. This is from Micah. Is there anything on if or how it's gone for Jackson on the offense? Has he gotten with the system? Yeah, there's nothing. I get these types of questions all the time. Even if there was something on that, Micah, we haven't played a single down in football yet. So I know it's so hard to wrap our heads around this. There is not going to be any information that is truly worth its salt until we actually see them in game formats, because you can look great in practice or terrible, and it could be the complete opposite. I've heard great things, and I've heard just, there's things that still need to be worked, all that stuff. Hugh, he says, I learned my lesson last year. What was your lesson that you needed to learn last year with this prediction of 4 touchdowns? All right, so let's move to our next one. We are on rushing now. All right, if you are predicting anything from this point forward in the chat, this is what you are predicting. How many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns do you think that Auburn's offense will have in this game? What do we think? What do we think? Once again, Hugh is a RPO guy, and in that system, there is a tendency, not always the case, a tendency to throw the ball just a little bit more. So what do we think? Damari Alston, the lead back, Jeremiah Cobb, Darrell Robinson right behind him. Obviously, you saw heard great things about some of the freshmen behind them. So I would say this is a pretty stout running room. The question is also, can the offensive line create space for them? Hunter says 160 yards combined. Well, that's why we're doing the full. So make sure all you're predicting is just the rushing yards of the whole room together. So that's a given. This isn't like a breakout, and try not to break it out any further than that. It makes things a little bit difficult with trying to get a read on the collective average here. 150 yards and 0 touchdowns. I'm assuming Hunter also had 0 touchdowns. So 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, mainly due to the defense. 130 yards and 1 touchdown. 150 and 1 touchdown. So it looks Hunter says 3 rushing touchdowns. Well, that's an outlier so far. I don't think there's going to be 3 rushing touchdowns, but what I will grant you is if there is 140 yards and 1 touchdown, 125 and 1. What I will grant you is if Auburn scores 2 rushing touchdowns and also gets 2 passing touchdowns, I think we're going to win the game. I truly do. I'm going to predict only 1 rushing touchdown and 160 yards rushing. 160 yards rushing. Well, no. I forgot. You got to remember Jackson Arnold is also a guy that likes to use his legs a lot. And from reports from camp, he was often said he'd prefer him to stay in the pocket a little bit more than maybe he has at times. So I think that's going to be Jackson Arnold's tendency is to run a little bit. And I think he's talented enough to make something of it. So I will say 1 rushing touchdown and 180 yards. So we got a big one here from Greg, 227. If we have 2 touchdowns and 227 rushing, I'm going to be feeling pretty good about this game right there. Hunter thinks that we'll dominate on the ground early. Also have to account for Arnold. As you said, he's a great runner. Now, listen, obviously the weather right now looks okay based off what the ESPN tracker said. That doesn't mean that's going to maintain at all. Let's see here. Like I said last night, I just think Jackson Arnold is a couple steps above a freshman quarterback with all the new coming in. It would be a concern for me if Bama's quarterback transferred or was, sorry, that's kind of all getting gibberish together. Try to give it to me in one succinct thing because it's hard to kind of piece together your thoughts and all this. I know this is different from TikTok, but we have to kind of keep the show flowing here, and I can't keep bouncing back and forth between comments, trying to keep it all together. Anything else? There's Hugh getting his take in. You might want to refresh your screen. You're a little bit behind, Hugh, or maybe that's when you just got in. Okay, so there we go. I said 1 rushing touchdown, 180 rushing yards. Here's a big one for me. And we have nothing to gauge this or grade this offensive line off yet, but we will after tomorrow. How many sacks will this offensive line allow? How many sacks will this offensive line allow on any quarterback? Doesn't matter if it's Jackson Arnold, if he gets hurt, knock on wood, and Deuce or Ashton Daniels come in, or they come in a special package. How many sacks does this offensive line give up on its quarterbacks? Couple zeros already coming through. So some people with very high expectations there. 3, to, yeah, YouTube allows a lot more and it throws you off. I know it can get weird to get used to. Micah thinks 6 sacks. That's the Bama in him. None tomorrow. So a lot of you are very, very bullish on this. We got 2 from David. Good to see you, David. Sam says 1 sack. So right now we got 2 ouchies. First game, 2 sacks early. I like what Robert says here. First game, things are going to be out of sync at some point in the game, especially on the road. I think this will be one of our higher sack. Well, if we had a less perceived mobile quarterback, I would be a little higher on my sack. I was about to say like 4 or 5. No, 4. I'll go 3 because I think we'll find ourselves in situations where even Jackson Arnold maybe won't be able to escape because he is being pushed to stay in the pocket as much as he can and let the play develop a little bit. Obviously, new season jitters, as Micah said, can play havoc. I think 6 is a bit much right now. If Auburn gives up 6 sacks, they will lose the game. That will be one of those factors that will play in because that'll be a snowball effect for everything else. All right. This is a question that kind of loses its luster a little bit as we go into the season, but let's do it right now. Who is going to be the top rusher? And that is whatever you think it is. Typically, let's just do it this way. Who gets the most rushing yards individually for Auburn? You've actually got quite a few people that could be eligible. Technically, everybody is eligible for this. You've got all the running backs, right? You've got several of the quarterbacks. You've got the ability to use some of these very talented wide receivers that would give them the most rushing yards if they're used on a sweep play or something like that. But usually where this question goes and why I say we may drop it down the line if it becomes kind of obsolete, which it did a lot with Jarquez, Damari, DA. Arnold is definitely someone that could factor into this. Damari. I agree with you. I think I think it is safe to bet that Damari Alston will be the leading rusher for Auburn tomorrow. If we are talking about Jackson Arnold being the leading rusher with 100 yards, that tells me that the game opened up a little bit more for the rest of the running backs, and Damari would probably, or whoever would probably be in the 60 to 70 range, and we're having a good day. So if that prediction is correct, there's a couple Cobbs coming in as well. Could be with the way they utilize him. We'll see. Again, first game, Arnold going to have to run around some. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. I always forget how much talking I do on this particular show. It wears the voice down. All right, let's keep moving here. We're 38 minutes. Who is going to be the top receiver? Let's say the most receiving yards. We might switch this up and do like most touchdowns, but this is just about receiving yards. Who is going to be your top receiving yards receiver for Auburn's offense versus Baylor? Your predictions. A lot of options here. So we got Singleton with the most yards coming in from Hunter. That's going to be the top one. Here's the second one, Cam Coleman. Singleton is hurt, but is he going to be completely better? I don't know. Cam Coleman. So that was a Cam Coleman one, though. So now I read that Cam threw me off there a little bit. David, you got to pick one or the other. We're going to be real strict on this here. No, we're not going to do this waffling thing on this prediction show. You got to commit. One or the other, Cam Coleman or Eric Singleton. What do you got? Give us something solid there. Top receivers, Baylor's defense. Cam. All right. So this is one of those times where I think with the speculation around Eric Singleton's health, that most people shift this to Cam. That's my pick. I think Malcolm Simmons comes, we're not sure of what may be at play with his off the season stuff. Maybe he's limited in some fashion that we're not aware of, part of the team rules situation. But if he's not, and he's utilized the way he was last year, especially if Eric Singleton's out there a good deal taking attention off of him and Cam, I think Malcolm Simmons will do a lot of good things. That's who I'm going to predict. Malcolm Simmons is going to be your leading receiver on the day in yardage alone. We might predict that or change that up and do touchdowns another time or receptions another time. Just something to kind of spice things up. I predict Singleton catches an absolute bomb for the majority of his yards. Probably wouldn't be a bad with his speed. He could get open very quickly on what seems to be a very suspect defensive back group. All right, one more question in the offensive section. This is one where we can keep it this year. It was added in by request. I think Corey added this one last year, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out if that was you, Corey. What will Auburn's third down percentage be? I know this seems weird that we would just pick this one out, but I think it's so appropriate. This is Auburn's offense. Third down percentage, how good are they on third down? Converting it. This is going to be so important on the road. So important. If they cannot be efficient in converting on every down and as many downs as possible, but third down in those crunch situations, that crowd, no matter how you think about how big or not they is or how much Auburn took over that stadium, they are going to get into it, and it's going to get tough for a team that feels a lot of pressure from its fan base right now to do something on the road. 60, 66%, 70%. These are lofty expectations. 80%. Man, a lot of confidence on third down. I'm probably closer to 60 than anything. I think Auburn's going to have a few struggles on third down at times, especially to start off the game. Maybe gets better throughout. Corey's a little bit, more in my camp. Robert is as well. I can't remember if we brought David's up here or not. But for me, I'm going to say that Auburn converts 55% of their third down. So little over 50%, just enough to get the job done. Need to stay ahead of the sticks. Agreed. We don't even get a third down because we scored the same. So 100% for you. Ernie, the lowest of our stream thus far. Good to see you, Ernie. Thanks for being here. Glad you guys are, we were worried we wouldn't see some of y'all tonight, so it's good to see y'all back there. So keep coming back, and we're going to keep doing this type of stream if y'all enjoy this type of thing. Oh, they're very specific. 58. Wait a minute, is this Greg from TikTok or a different Greg? I can never keep y'all straight. Anyway. All right, so that's our offense. We'll get a little bit quicker here. That's the most we have there. So let's do defense now. It's going to be the exact same with how we started on the offense. And this is probably maybe the difference in the game for some people. How many passing yards and touchdowns will Auburn give up to Baylor? How many passing yards and touchdowns will Auburn's defense give up to Baylor? This is why we ask these questions. Put it a little bit into your mind. Okay, a different Greg, but good. Thank you for being here too, Greg. We ask these scenarios so that you can have a better perspective. There was a lot of passing yards to Cameron, last name Cameron, in the simulation that we had. I'm blanking on the other guy's name. We saw a bunch. I think their tight end got really involved as well. My suspicion is that the passing yards will definitely be the bulk of both offenses in this game. But what say you? Sam, just try to, if you can, just stay with us on the one that we're on. Please don't jump ahead because it gets a little confused because then everybody else thinks they need to be predicting that thing. So we're just doing passing yards right now. So passing yards only. 215, 1 touchdown, 275, 3 touchdowns, 110, 1 touchdown late. So you must think, David, I'm just interpreting what David is saying here, that they don't really get a passing game going at all. And it's like either in garbage time, not garbage time, but at the end of the game, like you said. 280 and 210 and 2. You're good, Sam. Just want to make sure we're clear on how we're operating here because it just gets confusing for everybody. You know me well enough to know I don't mean that any ill will towards you. 210 and 1, touchdown. All right, so looking at the group real quick, most of these are above 200, some a little bit higher than others, like 313 edits. David, see, our DBs are great, and we saw that last year with freshmen and true freshmen and true sophomores winning starting time, winning starting jobs, and becoming all SEC types of performers. So a lot of expectations are now on these guys to replicate what they did last year. Can they do it? This is a great early test. The safeties, the defensive back, the corners, and that special position that they have in the defensive back group that comes out there every once in a while. Thinking back, Champ Anthony's now one of the starting safeties in that regard. Sylvester Smith, I think, was in that specialty. But let me see if I can go back and reference that for y'all real quick. Give me 2 seconds, because this is the things that we need to know and think about when we're predicting these things. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Depth chart. Where did you go? All right, so here's your defensive back starters again. Both cornerbacks, K.N. Lee and Jay Crawford. A lot of people thought that Rand Strader would overtake K.N. Lee, I think. That didn't happen. Caleb Harris at one safety, Champ Anthony another, and the star is Sylvester Smith. So that is your defensive backs right there. Guys, please save y'all's your predictions until the end, okay? Try to – I know some of you may have to run. That's fine. Just let us know that you had to run. But if you guys start predicting ahead of the show, where people are going to start thinking that that's time to do that thing, and they'll start doing it, and then everything lose. Be gone. Pass protection was trash last year, just being honest. Hope it's better this year. Are you talking about pass defense? Because that's an offensive thing here. If our defense is playing bend but don't break, or are we being super aggressive? I guess it depends on that. A lot of ifs. I'm going to say that we give up 200 passing yards and 1 touchdown minimum. All right, let's keep moving here. Keep moving right along in the defense. Are your next question. Just like with the passing, I am now asking you, what do you predict will be the rushing yards and rushing touchdowns for Baylor? So how many will Auburn's defense give up to Baylor in this game? We got a lot of passing yards from most people. They have lost their backup running back for the season, but doesn't seem to be something that a lot of Baylor people were worried about that I've heard from. But it does something that you need to think about. Sam, I guess you can get negative 10 rushing yards. It is possible, I guess, technically. But Sam's going to be our outlier in all of, like, if we were putting a graph together of every single one of these predictions, Sam's our outlier in every single one of them. 120, 130, no touchdowns for you guys. Did they lose both their start and their backup? David, I think it's just the backup that was out for the year, unless I missed something. 45 yards and 1 touchdown. Well, really, this is probably the area where there's the most question marks, because Auburn lost essentially all of its linebacker experience. Let's at least to put it that way. And definitely its leading tackler in Dorian Mausi. They lost Jalen McLeod. You've got Keldrick Falk and Kieran Crawford still there. A little bit of still some familiarity there in the interior. So there's a lot of questions about how they're going to be able to stop the run with the front 7, 8, however many they're using. They also have a mobile quarterback, so I'm going to say 190, 2 rushing. So yeah, remember, put those together if you can, Hunter, just so it doesn't get a little bit confusing, because I'm trying to put all this math together. 99 and no touchdowns, 78 and 1. They get 140-yard run, very specific. 180 and 2. We're not on field goals yet, Hugh. I'm not trying to be, I am being a stickler about this. I'm not trying to annoy you guys, but please just stick to what the prediction is that I'm asking for. Don't jump ahead to those things. We're going to get there. I know it may take a little bit longer, and this is the first show, so we'll work on timing and things like that. If you got to go, you got to go. I understand, but just make sure you let us know that you're having to head out and you're wanting to get some other predictions out there. Okay, I'll say, I said what, 200 yards and 1 passing touchdown. I will say 120 rushing for them and 2 rushing touchdowns. Both come within the 15-yard line. meaning it has to happen way inside the red zone. Way inside the red zone. All right, here's your next prediction question for you all. And we got to get moving here. Who is your top tackler for Auburn in this game? Brand new year. Brand new. The slate is wiped clean. Dorian Mausi was the leading tackler all last year, basically the entire year. Most of them are gone. What is the prediction you're going to make there? Will it be a linebacker? Will it be an end? Will it be a defensive back? Jaron Thompson a lot was our leading tackler too for a few games, but Dorian Mausi. So you typically think a linebacker here, right? But who's it going to be? DeMarcus Reddick. That's a great prediction, Hunter. But there's some other ones. Is it going to be Xavier Atkins? If you look at the depth chart at the linebackers, you've got DeMarcus Reddick and Bryce Dees. These are all or situations. At the Sam, at the Mike, Robert Woodyard, Caleb Wheatland, Xavier Atkins, Elijah Melendez. It could be any one of those guys. It could be Kieron Crawford. Sam, get with the program. You joke, but I do wish Dorian Mausi was still here. I think there are 3 guys from last year while you guys are making your prediction that I want back. Keandre Lambert-Smith, Jaron Thompson, Dorian Mausi. Those are the 3 that I want back. We've got a DB prediction, Crawford. So, Ernie, I'm curious if you're predicting offensive back, is that because he's just making a lot of great plays, or is that because they are getting some rushing yards and we're having to make the tackles in the secondary? Now, you can be the leading tackler as a defensive back and still be doing good on defense. It just means that you're versatile, being utilized in blitzes or just coming in to make the plays when it's on your side of the field pretty well. It's not necessarily an indicator that's a bad thing, but sometimes that's the case. We got DeMarcus Reddick. I think that's going to be the popular one, right? DeMarcus Reddick. I do think it'll be a linebacker. Last year, we all kept saying it was going to be Eugene. Last year, we kept saying it was going to be this person that we already knew about, and it was Dorian Mausi. I'm going to say it's someone we're not talking about. I'm going to say it is Caleb Wheatland. That is my prediction. We got a Morris, number 8. Give him a name. Which one are you talking about, number 8? But there you go. That's your top tackler for predictions. All right, let's do this last one here in defense. We may skip a couple. I'm asking for all of these together because it just gets a little bit confusing trying to pinpoint all these. But these are like the extra bits in the predictions of defense. How many sacks, how many fumbles, and how many interceptions? If you'll give me 3 numbers just back to back in the same tweet, the same thing, that will be easy for me to read, and do them in that order. Sacks, fumbles, interceptions. This is what the defense is getting. I mean, Auburn's defense is causing this amount of sacks, getting this amount of fumbles, recovered or otherwise, and this many interceptions. What do you think? What's the XP stuff for the stream? I'm not sure what that is, 313. I think it's something that YouTube offers that I'm streaming from a different platform, so I don't get to see what that is on there. I'll look into it, though. 1 pick, 5 sacks, 1 fumble. 8 sacks, 1 fumble, and 3 picks. Sam's going big then. 5-2-2. All right, so 5. Somebody put it in the right one. 5 sacks, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Ernie. 8 sacks, no fumbles, 2 interceptions. 8 sacks, I think, is going to set Auburn up well to win the game. 5-1-2. 3 sacks, 1 fumble, no interception. So we got it all over the place. Ernie says the offensive line for them is not ready. Look at all this right here. David, I think you're a little bit behind in the chat again. I'm going to try to help you guys out when it looks like your responses are coming in way behind where we are. It's all good. You can stay on that, or you can refresh and come back in, and it should catch you back up. 6, 3, and 3. I think we got everybody's there. Okay. I'm going to predict that we have 3 sacks on the day, 1 fumble recovery, And that's it. I'm going to go a little bit off what you guys are saying there. I think some other people were a little bit low like I was, but 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, probably on a messed up handoff or something like that where they're a little bit too jazzed up, hopefully in the red zone. So we cut a portion of that. They're scoring off from them, but that's what I'm going to say there. All right. We are at 8:57, so we are way behind from where we want to be. I'm going to cut this a little bit short. We've got a bunch of other categories we like to go into. With this being the first one of the year, we'll get it together and get this a little bit more succinct as we try future episodes of this. For special teams, though, because this has been a lot of talk this week, and let me just go ahead and put this out here. I understand we don't know a lot about Alec McPherson's health. I know we don't know a lot about if that's going to have to be split time there. Why don't we just assume that it is Alex McPherson until it's proven otherwise? I want to know how many field goals are attempted and made. That should give you some context for your prediction. So if he is out there, and we know that there has been some questions about his health, again, his strength maybe, that should factor in to your how many are attempted field goals and how many are made. Hunter with the solid 100%, 1 for 1, 2 for 2. One is everybody 100%. I'm glad that a lot of you are putting it on the low side, though. 0 for 0. I wonder, kind of on Corey's situation, I don't know if this is the way he was thinking about it. And here's another one from David. Alex only inside the 30, so 1. So I guess just made 1 for 1 with. Well, I only asked for the with, so make sure you're just sticking with that. 1 of 2. I think we're not going to be as ready to kick some of those longer ones, especially on the road. So I think you will see Hugh go for it, probably within the 40 to the 25, no, to the 30. Within that range, you'll see Hugh go for it. If we get inside the 30, you may see them go for it, no matter who is the kicker. I'm going to say that we're definitely going to attempt 1. It's just the way it goes, right? You at least tend to attempt 1, and I'm going to say we make 1. And I agree with those of you that said it, like David said it, inside the 30. I think it's going to be one of those situations where it just makes sense to go ahead and do that. Alex is going to be okay. 45 and he's going to be okay 45 and in. Yeah, here's the great thing about Alex. He has such a strong leg that even with his health not being great, I'm sure his strength is still pretty good. So 45 and in, sure, he might usually when he's 100% be sure thing there. I think given some of those struggles with his health and his strength, that may factor into it. So, all right, here's where we're at, guys. We are at 58 minutes. We're going to go ahead and call it. It is time for your final score prediction. Keep in mind, maybe you've already had it thought up, but try to factor in some of the things that we walked through in this stream. How many touchdowns that you predicted in each running and passing for both teams? How many turnovers you predicted on the Auburn defense going to have? How many sacks? All these things should factor into your decision, along with the things that we talked about, how Auburn is 100% on opening games in Texas. Auburn is the record versus Baylor is 2-1-1. Baylor's favor, put it back at 50%. He was pretty good in opening games. All of these things should factor into your predictions, and think about that. And even those that we didn't talk about tonight. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hunter with an emphatic 34-21 Auburn wins in Waco. Corey with a 28-17 Auburn win. Robert with a 24-21 Auburn win. 313, 34-24 Auburn win. What else? 34-21. So we got exactly the same from Hunter and no roll. Plainsman Murph, what's going on? Weagle. Baylor 28. It threw me off there. I thought he was putting Baylor first. Baylor 28, Auburn 34. Auburn win. David says 27-14 Auburn win. Sam continues to be our outlier with 52-5. Did you even think about the math of that one? Ernie with a big victory here. 40-17. Hugh 34-17. Is that Auburn, Hugh? Try to make sure you put that with it. Very close one. High scoring game from David. 38-34. Auburn wins in a close one. I think that is our closest thus far of our predictions. Yeah. Nope. Robert Franklin had a 3-point game. You had a 4-point game. So you two are the closest. And then Greg with a 31-13 win. A safety. Yeah. I guess if you do field goal, touchdown, then safety at the end, I guess you get that. That's a lot of scoring. All right. So going back to what I predicted. Okay. There we got our clarification from Hugh. Excellent. Going back to our discussions and all this, I obviously predicted 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown from Auburn. I predicted 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing from Baylor. So that's pretty even in touchdowns right there. So I feel pretty comfortable that both teams are going to reach 21 points on the game. Knowing that we're going to take a few risks, or feeling that we are going to take a few risks because maybe we're trying to be careful with our kicking situation. It really, to me, comes down to which defense can make the most explosive plays. Which one can do that? I think Auburn, even on the road, is poised to make a couple explosive plays, meaning grab a fumble recovery. And even though I didn't predict an interception, but maybe run a kick 6 back. But even with that, the talent to either set yourself up well on special teams with kickoff and punt returns, the athletes they have, I think somewhere in that space, there's going to be some separation that is created potentially for Auburn over Baylor in maybe even crunch time. So 21 points easily for both teams. I'm factoring in a field goal for each, so that would be 24 apiece. I am going to predict 30-24 Auburn wins, with a very scary ending of the game where Baylor has the ball and can score a final touchdown and get the extra point to win, but fails to do so. Auburn wins 30-24. That is my prediction. I am locking it in now. Let's see what else you all said here. Excuse me. Arnold fumbles the first snap out the back of the end zone. Well, then, yeah, I guess that would work out then. And then locks in. We got a Baylor 38-17. So, Donovan, are you a Baylor fan that's joining us this evening? Because you are our first Baylor victory, and that is quite the march. I'm going to say this. I've run into very few unbiased Baylor fans. I think you've seen a variety here. Some people that recognize this is probably going to be a little close. And then some, they're just super optimistic about Auburn. And there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about Auburn. But I think 38-17 right now doesn't look as strong, but hey, it's your prediction. You can have it. Yes, please do give a thumbs up wherever you're watching. That's always helpful if you can do that. Joe, thanks for hanging out. Who scores first? Oh, good question. What do we think, guys? Who scores first? Everybody answer that question from Hunter. You love the roster, but you're tired of being disappointed. Well, I'm all orange and blue alum. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. Well, that's a lot of contradicting statements there. You're allowed to be a little cynical, but I would encourage you. It's a much better way to live. I think Hunter was asked. Well, Hunter answered his own question. He says Damari. So yeah, let's all answer that. It's a good question from Hunter. Who scores first? Which team and what player is it? I'm going to say Baylor. Josh, I think his name's Josh Cameron. Cameron, the wide receiver that dominated in our preview. So get that prediction in here. What he just asked. Some of you already done that, and we'll look at this. We'll take some more comments and questions to round out the show. A couple reminders. I just spoke about that simulation. If you haven't had a chance to do so, please take the time to go watch our simulation. It is not the full game, so it's not like the full, hour it went when we run the simulation the way we did. So you don't have to sit there for a full hour. It's about 12 minutes of the best moments, most of the, prolific plays and stuff put in there. So you don't have to sit there through like the 2-yard gains and things like that. Go check it out. Drop a comment there, a like. Let us know what you think about that one. That game prediction is out there now, but we've already obviously talked about our predictions here. Tomorrow night, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in just a second, Auburn versus Baylor post-game show. Don't miss that one. And, of course, on Sunday night, the Auburn Experience live podcast recording at 9 Eastern Time, episode 140. Austin and I will be back together. Austin will be traveling back from Baylor, so please give us a little bit of flexibility sometimes if he runs into travel issues. But we'll work around that if we need to. But it's planned to be at 9 Eastern Time, and he will have a lot to say, I'm sure, about the game, about his experience there, all the above. Check out our friends at Alumni Hall. If you want to use our links that are in our description, it's part of that one link. If you shop with them through our link, you support a great Auburn company in town, Auburn Alumni Hall, and you support us at the same time. So check them out if you haven't done so already. Let me pull that one down and make sure we actually can see me here and see what you guys are saying. Okay, some of you were answering the question from Hunter. Who scores team and player first? We got Damari, a Baylor field goal. Auburn scored first. Auburn scored Cam Coleman. I think this feels like an old Auburn versus Ole Miss game. It depends on who gets the ball first. Maybe Baylor scores first. It would be their advantage at home. It'd probably be kind of sad if they couldn't take advantage of that. Auburn and Malcolm Simmons. Nice graphic, Kyle. Which one? Which one are you talking about? That one? That one right there? You really like that one? I was kind of thinking about changing it. Or is it the other one? If you're talking about the Alumni Hall graphic, that's from them. That's the one I use. Whichever one you're talking about, thank you, I guess. Jackson Arnold rushing touchdown. There's another prediction coming in. Okay, a couple more things here, and then we'll finish out the stream today. I saw Keldrick Falk at Chick-fil-A and told him, hey, man, that Baylor quarterback said you weren't any good. Don't worry, guys. I just won us the game. Well played, Ernie. Well played. Well played. So which game from last year should I rewatch tonight to get hype for tomorrow's night game? I don't think it's a one game thing. I think so many of these people that create highlight reels out there, you should go and watch so many of those and just get them as many of them in as you can tonight. That should be really what you do. No, not after last night. I got to go lick my wounds after last night. That was horrendous. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Hunter says you should go watch the ending of the Texas A&M game to get you hyped for the game. There you go. Very nice. All right, folks. So a couple things here to round out the show. If you got some last minute questions, I can answer them if you'd like. But let me make a request to everybody that's here. I assume some of you, if not many of you, will be joining us for our post-game show. This is one of those times where I know a lot of you are going to roll your eyes at me, maybe even just exit because I'm about to get real with you here for a second. A lot of times there's a tendency for reaction shows to delve into a lot of, it's not just about being negative, but unnecessary destructive negativity. I'm going to make a request that you all be the best versions of yourself and best versions of the Auburn fandom and how you represent Auburn in these chats. We're not a message board. This isn't a place where you can anonymously come and act like a jerk and things like that. So if you're going to be joining our chat on post-game shows, please be aware that there will be scrutinizing eyes on that, namely mine. And it's not that you can't share your opinion, but it's about the way that you share your opinion. So I'm going to ask that everybody be on their best behavior this year. And those of you that have been around for a while, do be the best representatives of that. That's my dad hat moment. I'm taking it off and we'll go from there. But that will be directly after the game. I'm here in studio. I have no other obligations that I know of. So as soon as the game ends, pretty much we will go live, win or lose. We will talk about it and discuss it and have some fun. Yeah, it's difficult. I know we remind people to like it all the time, and we do our best to remind, but thank you guys for continuing to remind everybody else. Frank Lepton, a halfback and captain of the 1892 football team, scored the first touchdown in Auburn football history. He did it. Well, was this just like a trivia drop? Is that what we were doing there? Yes, first game. It's the first game. Don't take some overarching things, Sam, especially you. What do we got here? Can someone record the game and send it to me? I have to ref a high school game. So here, this is a good point to bring up, Joe. One of the frustrations of moving it to Friday night, and I think there's a lot of good things, frankly, about moving it to a Friday night, but this is it. We've got another guy, Neil, who's normally here. He's having to miss out on a bunch of it because he's got to go support his child in their high school football game. I recognize it wasn't ideal to switch it to Friday, but I do think it's going to have a lot of benefits for both teams, a lot of eyes on this game. And if Auburn performs well, that's going to be a really good thing. Those of you that think winning is going to solve everything for recruiting, and you may be correct in that. If a good win here with all eyes on it will do very well for Auburn. Yes, WT, I knew what you were doing there. I'm just not giving you the benefit of it. Okay, good question from Brody. Yeah, we'll kind of round out here with some of this. Who's your sneaky breakout player for tomorrow? So whatever that means to you, let's all answer Brody's question together. I think it's going to be a linebacker, and I think it's going to be someone we're not talking about. While I predicted Caleb Wheatland will be the leading tackler, I think it'll be Robert Woodyard. And that's probably not the boldest prediction, but Robert Woodyard I think we'll be talking about him because people know what we're getting out of DeMarcus Reddick. There's going to be another guy doing all the cleanup work as the tackler, but there's going to be that guy that is ready to make his mark. And I'm going to put a Robert Woodyard prediction out of there. Bryce Dees is another good one there. Preston Howard, I like that pick. If the tight end becomes more prevalent than we're all anticipating, David, that's a great one too. Yeah, if you like my answer, but all of these are good answers too. Bryce Dees is really Connor Liu picks up a fumble for a touchdown. So the fumble happens on the snap. He picks it up, and somehow the just Red Sea parts, and he runs it in. Damari with a 100-yard game. I think that would be a very pleasant wake-up call for a lot of people about the run game, Hunter. That would be a good one as well. All right, Micah said this. I think he's saying good night to everybody. All right, I'm going to head to bed. I'm out either way, but if y'all manage to screw it up, I'll definitely be here. Y'all better hope that Auburn doesn't get completely shut out. That was bad last night, wasn't it? Watching that thing. WT, be on your best behavior. Did you not give? Can't take this guy nowhere. Yes, y'all get your jokes in right now. All right. Thanks for participating tonight, guys. Once again, as I said, this is the show I was kind of iffy about bringing back. We had a pretty good showing when all things came out tonight, so we'll probably continue that forward, but I want you guys to continue to help show that this show is it's got an audience for it and want to keep coming back. So we'll plan for now to continue doing Thursday night shows at 8 Eastern time and continue to do it this way. We'll probably tweak some things on timing and how much time we spend at the end talking about facts about the game. First one of the season. We're all getting our feet underneath us. But thank you guys so much. Oh, wait, hang on. We had a trivia question. There are 2 Power 4 programs to go undefeated twice in the 21st century. Who are those programs? UCF and... Wait. Yeah, UCF, right? Right? In Auburn, right? Is that it? Isn't that it? Anyway. Y'all are bad. All right, we got to get out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, spending some time, being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Thanks for joining us for the Auburn preview show. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.